Greetings and indeed a delectable salutations and welcome to Tech 3D. Now, I do apologise for my somewhat dishevelled and fatigued appearance. I had rather the late night. We had a 2 a.m. channel member Zoom call.
The party don't start till I
Something like that.
walk in.
Sing it, sister. But one of the topics that was raised on the Zoom call was something that harkens back to what I made a video about previously, which was where Autodesk are heading in the future. So I want to talk about that in this video. It's just to minimize me to the background and listen to my dulcet tones kind of a video as I discuss this topic. So it's all to do with what was mentioned at Autodesk University in New Orleans last year, where Autodesk announced their cloud strategy, which I speculated and somewhat read between the quite apparent lines that Autodesk are headed towards a complete cloud-based future. They want all their applications based in the cloud. This is speculation, by the way. Autodesk cannot, under any circumstances at this point, come out and confirm any of this. That would be devastating for everyone. But they want all their applications to be cloud-hosted. They want to remove file extensions and the limitations of this file can only be opened by this program, and files need to be translated to be usable in other all that to go away. They want assets as opposed to files, and for assets to be able to freely move between any application within the Autodesk ecosystem. And you can see how that's a good thing, potentially. But what it ultimately would mean is that all your current desktop applications that you know and use today would essentially, well, they no longer exist because they would need new applications that are cloud hosted in order to do this. In the current suite of desktop applications, it's just not an option to put them in the cloud. So in my sphere, which is sort of manufacturing, and because I've focused on Inventor for quite the while, it's a case of, well, it's quite obvious that Fusion 360 is sort of headed in that direction. That's probably going to be the central hub for the Fusion cloud instance, or the tenant, I think I might call them. Can't remember what the name of them was. But they've got Fusion for manufacturing, Forma for the architectural world, and Flow for media and entertainment. So that raises some questions, understandably, from people who are currently Autodesk customers, which is, well, what should we be investing in today, right? If you're saying that Autodesk are potentially moving towards this cloud strategy, should we be potentially looking to move off of Inventor and onto Fusion 360, for example? Or if a new startup was to come on board and they're like, well, what should we use? Should we use Inventor? Should we use Fusion 360? If we don't want to invest all of our money and time and resource and build up a library of Inventor data, if in the future we're going to be pushed off of it and onto something else. So you can understand the dilemma, you can understand the question. So Inventor or Fusion 360 for current and future customers.
Use FreeCAD, mate.
Take a day off, man, would you?
I use Blender, man. You should use Blender. You should use SolidWorks, man.
Yeah. So Inventor or Fusion 360, look, the way I see this is it's an absolutely valid concern for anyone to have. But if your company is considering their options and they're thinking, well, we want to potentially be future ready, my advice would be just don't think about it. This cloud strategy is, at the moment, it's just a future promise. It's not even a promise, it's a future ideology that Autodesk want to head towards. They've announced it at Autodesk University, which means they are actively working on it. But when you look at and when you consider what they have to actually achieve to make this possible, they've got so much work to do that this isn't going to, in my opinion, going to happen for at least 20 plus years, 15, 20 plus years. So you guys, everybody, me included, need to work today. You need to solve problems today. You've got challenges today. You've got projects to fulfill today. It's not going to serve you well to adopt a platform that might not be suitable on a whim that this might not even happen in your lifetime, in your career, right? So yeah, if you're considering Inventor and Fusion 360, if Inventor is the right solution for you, if that has features, tool sets, and functionality that you absolutely need that Fusion 360 doesn't, the likes of iLogic, the likes of heavy assembly design, dynamic simulation, all these feature sets that only Inventor offers, if you need that to get projects done, go with Inventor. Don't give it a thought that Inventor might not be around in 30 odd years time. use Inventor. You need to get your work done today. It's going to it'll probably do you more harm than good to try and adopt a platform that doesn't serve your projects and your customers today, because, hey, you might be ahead of the game in 20, 30 years' time when you might not even be around for seeing it. On the other hand, though, it's probably not going to do anyone any harm just to keep one eye on Fusion 360, though. If you are a product design and manufacturing collection customer, you do have Fusion 360 as a tool set. It's available to install for nothing. Where's the harm in having that installed? And just, for want of a better phrase, just keep an eye on it. Just dabble your finger in it now and again, right? Just leverage generative design whenever possible. Leverage Fusion 360s if you do any manufacturing, if you do any milling. Leverage its CAM modules now and again. That might just get you on board with it, just in case. But if Inventor is the tool for you, use Inventor. Don't be considering ditching it because if in 20 odd years' time this all happens. If, again, playing devil's avocado here, if this does happen in, say, 10 years' time, if Autodesk are ready to move everyone over to a cloud-hosted service in 10 years' time, and you are still around then, it's not going to happen overnight. There will be Autodesk. There will be a migration strategy for customers who need to move from one software package to another. Of course there's going to be. They've got millions and millions of customers on current desktop platforms. They can't just flick a switch. It can't happen. It's impossible. And I know corporations can sometimes be stupid, but Autodesk aren't stupid. They're not going to do that. They'll have a migration strategy for customers to move off of Revit and onto whatever. They haven't even got an architectural cloud service that's capable of rivaling Revit right now. That's how far away this all is. Same for media and entertainment. There's no cloud-hosted M&E service other than ShotGrid, which is a data management package or a project management package. So this is so far off, it's barely worth thinking about. But when it does happen, there'll be migration strategies, and it'll be a long, not necessarily drawn out, but they will give customers plenty of time to migrate over to the new platform. There'll be data translation facilities for porting your current data sets, your current IP over to a new service. That'll all be available. And hell, if you are
use FreeCAD, mate.
If you're in that crowd, then sure, go for something else at the time, right? If you don't like where they're headed, and if in 10, 15, 20 years' time, if people haven't warmed to the cloud by that point, then absolutely go for an alternative desktop platform. But Autodesk will do this in such a way where it'll be done with minimum risk to Autodesk and also minimum risk to the customer. It has to be. They do have a history of, you can't avoid it, right? You can't ignore it. They've got a history of making decisions that have damaged and impacted a lot of their customers. Removing perpetual licenses, the multi-user deprecation, where you can't buy network licenses anymore. But in a lot of cases, alternatives were provided, and it only affected really a small minority of Autodesk customers in a big negative way. And to be perfectly frank, Autodesk aren't that concerned about Autodesk don't have customers who don't pay them. From this point of view, you're only a customer if you're actively subscribed. If you bought a perpetual license 5-10 years ago, and that was the only money you gave Autodesk, and you haven't paid them any money in 5 or 10 years, you're not a customer to Autodesk. You're just someone that has one of their licenses. That's the way they see it. And if you're negatively impacted by a decision they make, why would they care? You're not giving them money, so you don't really have an impact on their business. It's the same for any business. If you sold a project to a customer 10 years ago and you've not spoken to them since, are you really going to give any consideration to those guys if you need to make a change to your business? Probably not. Probably not. That's the way Autodesk have to see it, but on a much larger scale of several dozens of millions of businesses around the world. It's impossible to keep everyone happy. So that's the way I see it. Yeah, if you are considering your options, or you're thinking about whether you should consider your options, just don't. Pick what's right for you today. If that's going for Revit, absolutely go for Revit. If that's going for Inventor, absolutely go for Inventor. You need to get paid today. You need to deliver projects today. But if there's an alternative cloud solution that you could leverage, don't just do it for the sake of being future ready. Do it for the benefits that could offer you today. Whether it be using Autodesk's construction cloud in the architectural industry, whether it's looking at Upchain instead of, or in addition to Vault or PLM3, it's Fusion Managed or something like that now, isn't it? But take a look at them. Absolutely. Get some of your services cloud hosted. And if you're in a company where the cloud is still this demonized entity that has to be avoided, then I can only speculate, but that is not going to go well in the future, because all software companies are going to cloud services, whether it's software as a service, cloud-based, or whether it's all applications being cloud hosted to a certain degree. It's going to happen, and it's inevitable. And stubbornly kind of digging your heels in and saying we're not going to do it, the world's going to move on and you're going to be left behind to a certain degree. But that's all for the future. That's all speculation. And I don't know, sound off down below if you've got a different opinion, if you think things should go a different way, if you would do something different. But that's just something that came out of a meeting we had yesterday, and I thought I'd do a little talking piece on it. So thanks very much for watching. That's all I've got, and I'll see you next time.